right, good morning, guys. So we're going to start with a baseline movement. So good morning, people watching on Facebook Live or in the replay. So a baseline movement is just a movement to do to kind of check your movement and allowing yourself to kind of feel what's going on so you have something to kind of counter check it by. So just go ahead and do something simple like reach down and touch your toes, or take your arms over your head and just kind of feel how it is. And just kind of notice what's going on there. You can do it 1 or 2 times. You can just kind of allow yourself to fold forward and feel what folding forward feels like. And then roll yourself up and do it again, or whatever you're doing. If you want to pick your arms up, I have a little pull in my elbow. It feels fine. I can look at my hands. It doesn't bother my neck. A little tension in the pull in my front of my neck. It's just kind of noticing what's going on in your own body. It's not that you're broken, it's just that you move, turns out, and then you get all out of position, or you don't move and you get out of position. So we'll just start with our hands on our abdomen. And the idea behind all this movement is that we're going to work on our breathing, we're going to work on our eye movements, and we're going to coordinate that with our physical movements, our cross patterning. So I want you to take your tongue to the roof of your mouth, like you're swallowing, and then just breathe through your nose, nice, slow, and deep through your diaphragm. So think of billowing out your rib cage. Eyes can be open, you can look up, you can look down, whatever you want to do with your eyes, because you're kind of just waking up your vestibular system. You're telling your body you're getting ready to move. Couple more long, deep breaths. Think of the rib cage is expanding, not just the belly is filling. Good, and then just look down with your eyes, let your nose and head follow. Look up with your eyes, let your head follow. Look down, look back up, look down, and back up. Couple more times. Look down, eyes, then nose, head follows the eyes. Eyes start looking up. One more time. And then let's look to the left and look to the right. You can drop your arms if you want to. Look to your right with your eyes, then follow with your head. Look to your left. You may notice your feet shifting, your hips shifting, you're finding new balance, you're finding that shoulders might be connecting over your hips a little bit more. Good, and then bring your head to center and reach down and touch your toes, or reach your arms up over your head, or whatever your baseline movement was. Then lower your arms. And the idea is you're looking for better, maybe, but different, and or possibly even staying the same without getting worse, kind of a thing. So you're just looking for incremental better. And better could be just a moment, like, oh, that just kind of feels better. It could be a feeling. It doesn't have to be a big neon sign of I can now do the splits or something like that. It's just better. And so anyway, so let's come onto the ground, and we're going to do patterns of 3 minutes of movement. So we're going to start out with a knees rocking movement. So go ahead and get on hands and knees. And then we're just going to, for 1 minute, you're going to do knees rocking. And knees rocking is simply, your toes can be pointed back behind you, or your toes can be curled under. I like toes curled under because it mimics the squat a little bit more, but toes flat can be just fine, and then that kind of gets into this, the extension of the front of that knee as well. So go ahead and just begin to rock back and forth. Head is up, chest is up. Remember, you're moving not to find pain or to find the depth and the distance you can go, but you're moving just to create context in the body, allowing the body to kind of find its movement pattern that it feels good at, and maybe kind of just disrupt the movement pattern a little bit. That's maybe kind of creating some stickiness. So if you feel like your shoulders are taking up all the work, can you breathe a little bit deeper, slow the movement down, and get your hips to do some more work here. If this is all bothersome on your knees because it's just your knees are pointing towards the ground, shift the position of your legs, maybe take them wider or more narrow. There's no reason to be in pain. You've got about 15 seconds. And continue breathing and finding that movement nice and easy. Then we're going to go to what's called a bird dog. And that bird dog, bring those knees in, and you're just going to reach out, right arm and left leg, and then lower down, and left arm and right leg. And again, the movement of mobility is not necessarily to be just slow, but the idea is to be able to notice. And many times if you go too fast, you can't notice things because they just move too fast. Do-do, 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 boop-a-doo, bum-bum-bum-bum. So you want to slow down and not move too fast. We all know that it's in a song now. And just reach out. So you notice as your right arm and left leg move away from center, does it feel like you sink in, lose position? As your left arm and right leg move away from center, does that side feel real strong and stable? You got about 10 seconds. Keep breathing with that tongue at the roof of the mouth. So the majority of the time I'll of course be talking because it'll be kind of silent here if I don't. And then you're going to kind of get on the long edge of your mat and you're going to cross sideways. And then you're going to go back the other direction. Now you can continue and you can go off your mat if you want to. Pick your knees up, it'll be easier on your knees. But just going sideways. You want to notice if your hands and knees get all bunched. So kind of make sure your hands are slightly out in front of you, knees are underneath you to behind you. And then again, look forward. Look to your right shoulder or left shoulder. And again, you got about 15 seconds. And then come back up. Find your way up. And then recheck your baseline. You may notice that it's just easier to do the forward fold. You may notice that it's easier to take your arms up, like that little pull in my left arm. This kind of feels non-existent. The lengthening of my neck feels great now. So just kind of notice how you feel. And notice the subtlety of the movement. And so you're not always trying to do big stuff, sometimes it's small. So we're going to start here, and we're going to do cross crawl. And a cross crawl is basically touching your right hand to your left knee. But at the same time, you can look up, you can look down, you can look left, you can look right. Look in any direction that you want. Try not to just look down at your knees. You probably don't need to see your feet too much because they'll basically just touch the ground after a while. And you can swing your arms like you're walking. So our walking pattern is our most advanced pattern. Trying to describe walking to somebody is quite difficult. Go for it later on this afternoon. Just describe it. See how you can explain how to do a walking with, and actually explain every part of it. Not just that you move forward or backward or whatever, because what does that even mean? You got about 30 seconds. And you can notice your hip flexors, the front of your hips might start feeling tight. So you can extend the leg more as you're standing there. If you notice your mouth pops open when you're doing this, it maybe that just means that you're moving a little too fast, or you're just not breathing. And you got to remember to breathe. And then we're going to rotate around the torso. So just take your hands around the midline of the body. Make sure that back heel lifts. As you rotate, you lift that back heel and look as far around you as you can. So all movements basically boil down to 3 basic movements. Then boil down to breathing, your first movement that you got when you were born, to eye movements and head movements. One of the first happiest days is when you held your head. People said, "Oh, she's so strong. Oh, look at that strong boy. He held his head up in the first 30 seconds of life." And then of course the gurgle and smile and spit up thing, that's always like, that sells well too. But is the next one, of course, is rolling over the midline of the body. Good. So the last one we're going to do is a little bit more advanced, I guess. You're going to step forward with your right leg and then tap your right knee with your left hand. And then you're going to step out with your right leg and then tap your knee with your hand. And then step back. This time you're going to take your elbow to your opposite knee and then bring your hand up. Okay? So you're just kind of stepping forward and then tap your knee. And then step side and tap your knee. And step back, tap your opposite knee, because you can't really reach back there, and then come front. Good. Forward and tap the knee, side and tap the knee, back and tap the knee. Let's do it again. Forward and side and back and forward and side. Knee up each time and back. One more time. Forward and side and back. Good. Then we'll do the other side. So it's forward, tap the knee, side, tap the knee, and back. Tap the knee. Now what I've added onto it is a tap forward as I step out, and that just adds more connection points. So I'm tapping forward and then side and then again and then back and front. Forward, up, side, up, back, up, and again. Forward, up, side, up, and then back, up. One more time. Forward, side, and back. Good. We're just going to finish with some cross crawl just to kind of get that whole thought out of your head that that was just the hardest thing you ever did. Next to, what's that called? Social dance in college when you had to actually learn how to dance, maybe? I don't know. I had to. It's full of girls and 4 guys. 4 more. But it was a required class for all us kinesiology majors. 2 more. Last one. Good. Recheck your baseline. Things should start becoming a little bit more mobile. And just kind of notice how the body just is reacting to adding more information into it. Good. Let's come back to the ground. This time we're going to take our knees side to side. You're going to sit up nice and tall. So it's called a windshield wiper, and we're going to do about 3 different ways. So we're going to start with the knees up. Just let me set my timer. There's goodness knows we don't want to do more than 1 minute of something. Just far too much. Drop your knees to your left, drop your knees to your right. And if you can, toes are towards the sky. If that's not available to you, that's totally fine. But you may feel like you have more motion if your toes are up. Now you can take your hands off so you can get a little bit more range. And again, you're breathing and you're looking. And think of about, again, back to the whole baby example, how much babies really look around and they see and they're taking in thousands of images and learning thousands of things about their environment, turning their head, changing their posture, constantly pooping and peeing. It's so much fun. Good. And then see if you can do it with no hands. I know you travel a little bit. You got to decide where you're going to go. If you start on the long end or you're going to start on the short end and scoot back. 2 more about. Good. Then we're going to take our back onto the ground. Lay back. And we're going to start with the same idea. Just feet on the ground, knees side to side. So yeah, all of these things seem like just like stretches per se in quotes. Oh, I'm going to do my stretches, people say to me. It's like, okay, they're stretchy, but think of what you're doing. You're mobilizing the joints. You're moving the knees, which is reacting into the hips, or you're moving the hips, which is making the knees rock back and forth. You may even notice your ankles moving a little bit more. How much do you really think about how much your ankles move? And then actually you're putting effect on your rib cage. So kind of feel that twist almost going up to the lower part of the ribs. The ribs need to move too. The ribs should be able to move about 22 degrees, and we kind of probably get about maybe 10 degrees out of them most days, if best. Good, now go ahead and take your knees up to your chest. Arms go a little wider, almost like a T, and begin to move just slightly to your right and to your left. So you're not actually going to bring your knees to the ground, but what I do want you to do is just drop your knees to the right, drop your knees to the left, and begin to notice the opposite side as you do that. Do you notice that your shoulders or ribs want to lift up? And your ribs should lift up a little bit. Your butt, of course, should come off the ground as you move away from that side. And also, if you're feeling this at all in your lower back, tuck your knees a little bit closer in towards your chest, or slow your movement down, or again, return back to your breath. Are you actually breathing? And then now let's make the movement a little bit bigger. See if you can get your knees a little bit closer to the ground. Bring your knees back up. And then again, a little bit closer to the ground. And then back up. So again, we did a minute or so of upright. Then we did about a minute of low on the ground. And then about a minute here, side to side, getting those knees down. Notice your shoulder. Your right shoulder as your legs go left, your left shoulder as your legs go right. Feel that movement around the rib cage. If it's difficult to get the knees back up, take your top knee up first, then let your bottom knee just follow it, so you're not pulling against the pelvis too much. You've got about 10 seconds here. And then we're going to take this movement actually into what's called a dead bug. Good, and then pause in the middle. So go ahead and take your arms over your chest, slightly angle them down towards your knees, and then you're going to raise your right arm overhead as you lower your left foot, come back to center, and do the other side. So your right arm and left leg are the only parts that are moving. You can just drop the foot to the ground. Don't worry too much about how far away the foot goes from you. The arm should just go overhead, kind of movement into the line of the ear. Breathing. Good, as you can you straighten the leg out and like a saw, reach your leg away from the midline. Get long away from center. And then 1 or 2 more times. Right arm with left leg, left arm with right leg. And then go ahead and pause. Drop your feet to the ground. Extend your legs out so your body's the shape of an X. Pick up your head, take your left arm across the midline of your body like you're reaching down towards your right hip pocket, and then roll back. Pick your head up, look across the left side, take your right hand across to the left side. and then again. So again, head comes up first, look, and then reach. Once more, back to the analogy of the baby or the example of the baby. The baby's head comes up, they start looking at stuff, and they reach, and then they begin to roll. So it's that dirty trick that all parents play on their kids, that they then move the toys further away and see if they, little Johnny or little Cindy can reach that new toy, and then they can get a good picture for the grandparents. Breathing. No pictures for you guys. I'm the only one on camera. Sorry. Everybody's gonna be clapping for me and excited. I'll be in everybody's baby books. You guys are just going to have to understand the power of personality and celebrity that I've developed. It's okay. I have a book that's coming out, The Power of Personality and Celebrity by Susie Gillette. It's very deep. One more time. Reach across the midline of the body. Good. Bring your knees up. Bring your knees into your chest, roll up or come to one side, and let's go ahead and stand up. And let's recheck your baseline again. So again, if your baseline was a toe touch, was an overhead extension, whatever it was, you can repeat that. Good, nice, Beverly, good. Reach down, touch those toes, and then take your arms up. Nice length to the front of my neck is what I was looking for. And no tension in the elbow, which was also kind of the first thing that I noticed. Good. Let's come back to the ground again. This time we're going to go on our front side. So hands and knees. And we're going to go all the way to our forearms. So we're going to do a knees rocking on our forearms so we get a little bit more into the shoulders. So moving again for about 1 minute. Your thumbs can be pointed up, palms can be down, however it works for you. Just allow yourself to come forward and back. Remember, you're never moving into pain. You might find it on the way, but you're never trying to push, quote unquote, through the pain. So just come forward and back, stop as you need to, pause, go slower if you need to. Again, typical signs that you're doing too much, too fast, too soon is that your mouth opens and you start talking. So if you just immediately start talking for no particular reason, there's probably a problem. Or if you get stuck, like it feels harder all of a sudden than normal. Remember when you were a kid and you would go someplace and things were real hard, and usually if you could really look back at it, you would notice you're probably holding your breath a bit. You're probably just tensing up. And quite literally, when you started relaxing and enjoying yourself, and your mom would go, and I picked her up and she wouldn't even come back. She didn't want to come back. Either that's a problem with your mom, or you learn to breathe and you learn to relax. My kids never wanted to come home. I don't know. I'm sure it was the breathing that they were doing that they never wanted to come home. They were always like, what's next, Mom? What's next? We'd literally be going someplace like Disneyland, and then the kids would be like, what are we going to do next? Like, we're going to go home and go to bed. Oh, Mom, that's it? That's all you got for us? Go ahead and come up to your hands, and then you're gonna circle to your right or left. Doesn't particularly matter. We'll go each way for 30 seconds. So when people ask me, didn't you just do this whole workout and thing yesterday? Well, yeah, it's just our style to just continue to grind ourselves down and just have as much fun as we possibly can in everything we do. Because what's next? You might miss out on something. Who knows? My son, we took him to Disneyland. We didn't tell our kids we were going to Disneyland. And we get to the AM/PM mini market to fill up on gas so we could have gas before we went home. And then we broke the news to them that they were going to Disneyland that day. Jacob broke out in tears. He was like, but I was going to be the line leader today.
Oh my God.
I missed my line leader job, you horrible parents.
Scarred for life.
And then, I don't know if it was that trip, but very quickly after we realized that Catherine had no shoes with her. Oh, we're actually model parents. People like, well, you know, people write books about us and then they study us, and I don't know. Maybe that's why we have that big mirror in our family room now. 2 more. Sit back into your hips. Good, and then just bring your knees back in together. Go ahead and bring your right foot forward. So we're gonna do kind of a half kneeling crawl. And you're gonna crawl forward until your knee gets on the ground, and then continue reaching forward until your hand and your back leg extend. And then roll backwards. This movement is called a Lego crawl because you're reaching all the way out there for a little Lego. And then come back into that kind of half kneeling and reach out. And reach forward. At church, many a time I would get a call on a Monday morning. I think your daughter left her shoes. Good. I make a really good lunch, and so my kids are so looking forward to getting home that they just leave their shoes everywhere. Good, let's go to the other leg. So just switch back, put your left foot up, or if you weren't doing it that way, do it the other way. Good, and reach out, and roll back, and reach out, and roll back. And again, you don't have to change your feet, just kind of keep your front knee forward. And if it's too far to go all the way back, Lori, don't move your leg. Just move, go right there. Good, and then come forward again. There you go. See if you can straighten your right knee out as you go forward. Put your left knee on the ground and just straighten the knee of your back leg. Good. And again, one more time. All the way out. And then back down. Let's come all the way back up again. And again, reach down, touch those toes. Or whatever your movement is. Even try a new movement. Maybe a squat feels better. Just try it. Or a push-up even. Check out what your push-up feels like. Or your squat. Or any other movement that you can think of. Stand on one, nice. Stand on one foot. So if your squat isn't normally great and you just squatted into a squat, you're just like, what normal is different. Standing balanced, noticing how your body goes into it. And just notice if it feels just more connected all the way around. All right, go ahead and come back to the ground. We'll bring your left leg forward, right leg goes back. And we'll just get a little bit of stretching out of here. So flex this foot so the ankle is off the ground. The knee is going to go towards the ground, but it may not. And then hinge forward. Breathe, exhale. Good, come on up. Take your left elbow to the ground. Keep this big Z position. Take your right arm overhead and then reach over. Make sure you're not slumping into your left shoulder, but you're lifting out of it from your rib cage and hip. And then come back up and then turn kind of towards your back knee and then shift back into your back. So you're moving away from really your back knee. Good. And then roll up and let's switch and do the other side. Leg in front, hinge forward. Again, set up the ankle, pull that back leg behind you, hinge forward. And then come back up, slide the right arm down, take the left arm overhead, reach through your fingertips. And then lower down, push yourself back up. Turn toward your back leg, so you're kind of turning towards the open part of that Z, and then drop back. And if you can get to your left elbow, great. If you can't, that's fine. Breathe. Good. And then just roll up and come up again. And then let's finish on our stomach. So go ahead and lay all the way onto your belly. Good. Lay on your stomach, and then you're going to take your right foot up and over and roll towards your left leg. And then roll back, and then take your left leg up and over, and then look back towards the direction before you let the arm, then the leg follow. So again, it's look over the right shoulder, then lift the right leg, then the right arm, and look over, then look back, let the right hand come down, and then the leg come down. So we're unwinding it. Over the shoulder, left leg, get that foot to the ground as best you can. Shoulder, head, shoulder, and then leg. Again, over the shoulder, leg, then rotate, back to the ground, shoulder and hip. One more time here, and rotate, and then back down. Good. Lay all the way to the ground. Arms are out in front. Head is down all the way to the ground if you can. Just for sake of hearing me, my head is up. Inhale, bring your head up. Take your right arm overhead. Just roll about a quarter of the way over. Feel that nice opening stretch in the back. Bring your head forward. Look towards your left hand. Let your right hand follow. Roll and look up and almost roll over to your back. If you do find that you rolled over to your back, fantastic. Enjoy the movement. Pick your head up. Arm comes overhead. Leg follows. Head over. Arm over. Roll. And then look back, arm, and hip. One more time. Look over, and look back. Good. And let's pull ourselves up. Bring those knees in front. Come on up as best you can. And last time, let's recheck our baseline. Good. And then roll yourself up. Inhale up. And then down. Good. If you have any other movements that you want to try, do so. The question is, same, better, different? Better? Good. 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 Fantastic. Good. Fantastic. Have a great day, guys. Have a great day. Tomorrow, Super Stretch. I'll see you at 8:45. Have a great day, guys.
There's a